right, hello everybody. Looks like we are live. Welcome to Network Roundtable, the softer side of business, where we talk about core values and how they reflect in your business. We're very excited to have with us Ms. Nichole Bainer, and she's our +1 superhero this week for diversity. And things are a little bit different this week because we normally do our Who Are You exercises on Monday, and we were able to have Jessica. It was very short notice for Nichole, so we weren't able to get her on such short notice, but we'll definitely be able to dive into that today. We also have with us, of course, Jessica Maynard, and and we have Mike Days. And of course, I'm Kristin Drysdale. So, as we get ready to launch into this Who Are You exercise, let's go ahead and ask Jessica why you chose to have Nichole come on and represent the value of diversity.
Okay. Well, when we were going through things, I knew that there were people, you and Dennis thought of me when you thought of diversity. And when I met Nichole, we became really fast friends just because of the fact that we're both into fashion and we both tweak what we're doing with a little bit of an eco-friendly flair. And when I got into what she does as far as her programs and her emails and everything, the theme itself is broken down into 3 different levels. And I really just love how she breaks it up so that she can meet her customers' needs more than telling them what she thinks they should do. She just has those different levels there, and then depending on their level of conviction or their desire, then they go to whatever she puts in those, and she can explain it better than me, so that's why. And I really just wanted to introduce Nichole to all my Google friends because we actually met on Facebook, and I knew that she was on Google, but I didn't think that she had a ton of interaction with people here yet. So, and I like Google Plus so much, so I thought, let's bring Nichole.
Woohoo! Very cool. All right, Nichole, you're up. What can you tell us about your meeting with Jessica?
Oh, it was great. It was a business match made in heaven. We really just bounced great ideas off of each other, and as far as the diversity thing, I have to agree with her. Those 3 breakdowns that I use are suburb, city, and country, and that's because I've lived in all 3 of those areas and have really seen what it's like to be sustainable in those areas, what people do and their thoughts on fashion and being stylish and taking care of themselves. There's a lot of differences, but there's also a lot of similarities, and I definitely think that it's a great fit today to talk about diversity because I really love giving people those options so that they're not pigeonholed into just one solution for a particular topic.
Kristin,
Sorry about that. I had myself muted. And then I clicked the wrong button, like invite. No, I don't want to invite anyone else. We're good. Okay, cool. Well, let me see. Where should we go from here? I kind of want to give our Friday viewers a little bit of a taste of who you are, Mike, as well, in case they weren't here for Monday. Can you tell us just a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm Mike Days, and I own a company called My One Call, and basically we've been doing business development and digital promotions for about 20 years. Since before the WWW existed, we've been there. So I'm a big
what?
What? before your time. And big G Plus fan, and I'm very happy to be here. I really appreciate the invitation.
Very cool.
Not only that, but if it's a fashion show, who better than me?
Absolutely.
Mr. Blue shirt and a white shirt. Maybe I can learn something.
Okay, so now let's go ahead and go into our Who Are Yous. Nichole, who are you?
I am the owner of suburbcitycountrystyle.com, and I'm a sustainable lifestylist. We could start there.
Why?
Because I really want to bring I feel that fashion can tend to be a little bit superficial, and I really want to dive deeper into that idea and that concept, bring a little bit more awareness, and make it a much more approachable topic.
Why?
So that everyone can find their place, because not many of us live in nudist colonies, so we all need to be able to relate in some way.
Thank goodness.
Well, and some of us act like we do anyways. Hold on, I have to grab a shirt. It's actually like a pretty well-known joke among a few people that, yeah, like, don't just call me up cold, you've got to give me warning. All right, so I'll give you another why.
Because I love making people feel great about themselves and really discovering their positive attributes. And I just feel like you perform so much better in the world when you feel good about yourself.
I like you.
I knew you would.
Okay. Now I'm like, I forgot like the whole thing. Now I ask you again. Nichole, who are you?
I'm a daughter.
Why?
Because my parents decided to have me, I guess.
Why?
Because they wanted to have a family and out-popped me, I guess.
You know, this is completely, entirely unfair. I just realized because I'm only supposed to ask you that once, and then we move on to the next person. So I just got like some bonus extra answers.
Putting me under the pressure cooker. I appreciate it. Thank you.
We're going to strip you to your core. All right, go for it, Jessica.
Nichole, who are you?
I am a friend.
Why?
Because we all need great friends, and you have to reciprocate what you get. So I try to be a great friend.
Why?
Because it's important to support each other through our journey, whatever that may be.
And last one. Why?
Because I believe that we grow from working together, and we learn a lot from one another.
Nice. I bet Mike's next.
Oh, okay. Let me get my script out. Nichole, who are you?
I am we could talk a little bit about all the places I've been. So I am a Connecticut resident.
Why?
Well, I was born here, and I did go on a little journey. I moved to New York City, and then I went to upstate New York, but I did ultimately come back here to Connecticut.
And why?
Family is here. A lot of my great friends from childhood are here, so I think that's why I came back full circle, but I really enjoyed being in those other places as well.
Why?
Going back to, I guess, the friend thing and learning from others, I learned a lot, specifically within the fashion industry, exactly how people think and the pluses and minuses in being in different areas. I found that to be very interesting.
That's great. See how important diversity is in just location, if not everything else, the things you bring back.
Absolutely.
Very cool. Okay. Another thing that we do with Network Roundtable is we try to focus and organize the information that we have with a structure around past, present, and future. And so I think it would be awesome if we could dive a little bit into your past and see, like, if you can kind of give us a little bit of a taste of your journey that has led you to this spot where diversity is become so much a part of you.
Okay. I originally, when I graduated from SUNY Oneonta, which is about a half an hour from Cooperstown, any baseball lovers out there, I started my own fashion styling business, and it was not particular to sustainability. And I traveled a little bit I had clients in New York City, I had clients back home here in Connecticut, and I also had clients in the country, in New York, and I really just learned a lot about their value system, what was important to them, how they didn't really want to stand out. Some of them I found in the country didn't really want to stand out as much as people in the city. And people that were in that city-style mentality tended to really want this unique look, this one-of-a-kind, standout look. And I've worked with plenty of different clients, different ages, and that definitely led me to the present, which was segueing out and really making those three categories so people can fit and find their place. And it's not necessarily where you live, it's really just the way that you take on a certain topic. Like if we're talking about the type of ethical clothing that, you know, what exactly does it pertain to? Does it pertain to pesticides being put in your clothing? Does it pertain to where it's being made? There's different levels. Just like when you think about eating food, Jessica brought up a great point yesterday to me when we were discussing like people that are vegan, people that are vegetarian. There's levels in which you can find your own comfort zone. And in the future, I hope that that is just a more recognized way of looking at sustainability, that people can find a comfort level for them and maybe reach into a more sustainable lifestyle, but at least start somewhere, and just making an effort is definitely something that I want to see in the future.
I kind of want to like do another why.
Was there a moment or a person or a thing that kind of pushed you into the sustainable side of fashion? Was there an event?
It's interesting that you say that. So I had a professor in college that was we were watching a lot of documentaries. I can't even think of the class what the class was called at this point, but he was from Africa, and he actually, that was a big part of our class time, was watching these documentaries. And I'll never forget this Nike documentary that we watched where workers in Ethiopia were standing in what looked like a kiddie pool, and it was filled with bleach. And they had no shoes on, no leg protection, no anything, and they were taking those bright white Nike sneakers that we purchase here in America, and they were dipping them in this special, clearly hazardous bath of bleach, and that's how our shoes are so bright. And this guy's legs were permanently white from the shin down, from standing in this pool of bleach. And it was just, that was definitely a big moment for me, because we don't see that side of things, and now it's coming out more and more, but at the time when I was in school, it was definitely extremely eye-opening to see that workers were treated this way and they were not safely taken care of at all.
Wow, so that was the moment and you decided you were going to make your stand, so to speak.
Absolutely.
That's really cool. We all have those moments.
What were, like, your other classmates' reactions? Were they similar?
It was funny that some of them were similar, and it was like half of them were sleeping.
That was like our nation, right?
Yeah,
That's about right.
It was pretty interesting to see some people just have this ability to not really let things sink in, I feel like. And you could see some of those reactions, like, okay, like, that sucks for them type of an attitude, but we're here and we don't have to worry about that, which is disheartening.
Yeah, and there's such a desensitization.
Absolutely.
In our Western world. We just have no clue. Like, especially, like, being on Google+. It may be this way on Facebook, too. I just can't speak for Facebook. But probably any online connection, like place, like forum or so, where you have global contacts, like, we have such an advantage over our sleeping neighbors, because we're able to realize that, hey, we need to wake up here and we need to change things.
Absolutely.
I would love to speak to that, because I'm actually in the store with clothes, and you know, people have heard me talk before. The store, the #1 focus is eco-friendly, but I've never had a person walk in this door and ask me, is this fair trade? Is this eco-friendly? But I tell them that it is, and they're excited about it. But just like with food, I don't know, 10 years ago, I don't think people went looking for organic, but the more and more and more they got educated about it, now people actually go looking for it. So that's kind of the position that Nichole and I have put ourselves into, is kind of educating and getting us further along that spectrum to hopefully, you know, increase that market of what is eco-friendly, because, you know, if there's more of a demand for it, then those prices are going to come down, and it's going to be something that companies like Nike and, you know, the big box, you know, stores of the world are going to want to pay attention to if more and more people are asking for it.
Can you guys give me an idea of how you would define eco-friendly or sustainable fashion? What makes it that, for those of us who don't know much about it?
Do you want me to go, Jess, or would you like to start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, for me, I've kind of put my own little definition in place for sustainable. A term I use a lot is sustainable style. And one of those things is made in America. Keeping our jobs here is definitely sustainable.
Okay.
And there's a lot more regulations, obviously, here than the example I gave earlier with the Nike shoes. The regulations are sometimes non-existent in other countries. So knowing that your clothes are made in America is typically a great sign. Other areas are the fabrics that are being placed into creating, say, a t-shirt. Is it organic cotton? Is it regular cotton? Regular cotton is a lot more toxic to produce. And so from an environmental standpoint, organic fabrics, natural fabrics are always less invasive on the environment. And just fair trade, like Jessica said earlier, a lot of stuff is made in other countries, but it is considered fair trade because there's a lot of hoops that these companies have to go through, almost like the organic process, to make sure that their factories and their company policies are up to par to be considered fair trade.
Great definition. Jessica, can you add to it, or do you want to?
I just wanted to, I thought of the organic cotton versus regular cotton, and I've said this before in different shows. I have actually had customers come in the store and say, oh, you have organic cotton. I'm allergic to regular cotton, but I can wear organic cotton. And in my brain, I'm processing it and going, you're not allergic to cotton then. You're actually allergic to the pesticides that they put on the cotton. But people don't necessarily put that two and two together. But, you know, I just wanted to say it again so that people open their eyes to the fact that this person isn't allergic to cotton. They're allergic to those pesticides. You know, they're deadly pesticides too. We don't want to eat them. We don't want to wear them either. And I think that more and more people are opening their mind. Nourish Boutique, which is my boutique, what we focus on is eco-friendly fabrics first. And I have a tendency to believe, just because I've researched all the companies that I work with that have eco-friendly fabrics, when they have eco-friendly fabrics, they are worried about sustainability and they are worried about good treatment of their employees. They may not always have those certifications, but I've gotten to a point where I trust them as a company because I know what their goals are. So my number one thing is to try to find those companies that use the organic cotton, bamboo, hemp, soy, and the blends of those different things. If I can't find it eco-friendly, I have to go along that spectrum, and I look for local artists and local distributors to fill in the spaces. So maybe the person that knits my boot warmers, that I have her, it's not really art, but I have her boot warmers in the store, that yarn might not be organic cotton, but I know that it's a woman who lives a half an hour from here, and it's that locally sourced and locally supportive part that makes me feel like it definitely still fits into the store. So
I think that's great.
Those are the different things.
You know, what's it going to, I have not been as aware of this stuff as I should be. I'm a big local fan, just from a standpoint of, like, if you can get something locally, it does all sorts of just good things, right? It doesn't have to be shipped. You don't have to use the fuel and all that. But does this, I mean, what am I going to pay? Am I going to pay a whole bunch more for this stuff? I pay, like, you know, $3. Well, no, not $3. But if I go out and buy really good clothing from you guys or from a sustainable source, what's the cost difference? We could probably start with Jessica.
Yeah, at least for men's clothing, I mean, I have some plain basic men's t-shirts that I could probably retail about $15. And I have some women's organic cotton t-shirts that retail for $15. The sad thing is I am competing with the $4 Walmart t-shirt. People don't always realize the difference. And so it's a little disheartening for me, but once they get educated about the fact that, you know, the quality is different, this one isn't going to fall apart. It might cost you $15, but you're going to get 20, 50 wears out of it, where the one that isn't as good quality and isn't made of, you know, the organic cotton or bamboo or whatever, it's not made as well, generally speaking, and you get 2 or 3 wears out of it, and then it's pilling and it's falling apart. So there is a price difference. I don't know, Nichole, you've probably run into that too.
Absolutely, and to speak specifically to Nourish Boutique, I think Jessica does a fabulous job at trying to make things extremely affordable. She's the most affordable that I've found, and I think it's comparable with some of these stores you go to at the mall, and you're doing such a better job with helping the environment, whether it's, I bought a pair of recycled plastic flats from her, and they're great, super comfortable, and they're more affordable than some stuff that you can find, say, at like Payless. But an interesting fact that we're talking about all of this, I came across a statistic that in 1945, Americans spent 13% of their annual income on clothing. In 1970, they spend 7% on average on their clothing annually. And most recently in 2012, we only spend 3% of our income on clothing, which everyone does tend to say, is it affordable? Is it this? Is it that? But when you think about it, you know, in 1945, when you see photos, people were dressed to the nines, and they did not have that many clothes. And that's another thing, a huge thing about being sustainable, is purchasing something with a little bit of effort, saving for that item. You tend to respect that item a lot more. You tend to take care of it a lot better. You tend to not quickly be in this position where, like, say you're going into TJ Maxx and you're going by those aisles, as you're waiting in line, they line the whole cash register with all these impulse items. And that's a part of the, you know, fast fashion mindset is, oh, we can grab this because it's $3.99, it's $4.99, it's $5.99, but you don't need those things. So I think if people had the mindset of spending a little bit more and really being conscious about their next choice, it's, you know, it's definitely reasonable, and you end up saving money. There's a lot less waste that goes into it. Like Jessica said earlier, when you're buying pretty much the same items every season because they don't last through a season, because you're going to, say, H&M or Target or an affordable place like that, when you add it up over the years, you're spending way more.
Oh yeah, no question. I mean, I've always been. I love the way you discuss that, because it's so true. I mean, I have shoes that I paid a lot of money for, believe it or not, 20 years ago, and they're still great. And then, you know, we go out and get the inexpensive, but whatever, shoes occasionally, and they last a season. And, you know, I'm trying to get that through to my kids too. It's like, because today our kids live in a very disposable world, and it drives me crazy. So I love that thought process. It's fantastic. I'm going to go to your website and I'm going to buy some stuff.
Thank you.
Do you have blue shirts?
I don't have anything men's related yet, but it'll be on the horizon.
I don't care if they're men's. I mean, I'm past that point of worrying about them. I'll call it a top. But I do love what you're doing with this. It makes so much sense.
I appreciate it. And it's more about, for me, it's more about educating in the service, and Jess is doing a great job with the products. So together we're really, there's plenty of, you know, room for it all to fit and make sense for everybody.
It really does, and we really bounce things off of each other a lot. Like the two of us, you know, she does the stylist part, and we have that commonality of fashion and eco-friendliness. But I have the physical product that she wants people to, you know, maybe attain. So we've worked together a couple of times, and it works really well. But I do have to say, I just want to go back to that. Like T-shirt for T-shirt, there is the price difference. But I'm looking around, and I'm like, well, there's a $40 sweatshirt and a $60 dress. Like those are prices, like you said, that are very comparable to a lot of stores, Express and Maurice's, and these ones are actually the eco-friendly. And so as much as I sometimes try to defend myself before I actually stand up and say, no, wait a minute, you know, it really is very comparable, and this stuff's better.
I was at Dick's Sporting Goods with my son the other day looking at stuff, and you know their T-shirts are $15 minimum, even for the kids. So it's like I see $15 T-shirts everywhere and $60 shirts. So those prices don't seem unreasonable at all, especially for something. Now I shop at Goodwill on Tuesdays, which is Senior Day, which is 50% off. So you know we're talking $1.50 a T-shirt.
And that is another.
I really do. My wife's like, "Hey, it's Tuesday." Okay, I'm giving away too much information. So.
Wait, what did she say? Did she say, "Hey, get out of here," or what?
Well, I hear that a lot, whether it's Tuesday or Friday or whatever. No, because her dad does the same thing, so she thinks it's very funny that I know Tuesdays are half price day at Goodwill, where I buy my summer, you know, T-shirts and stuff. But I look for sustainable clothing. Actually, that's a good question that I'd like to ask. How do I know if this is organic or sustainable when I'm looking at a shirt or fashion?
Yeah, and like what kind of fabrics are the best?
Okay, so definitely your labels, reading your label in your shirt, it will tell you if it's not right behind your neck, it's on the side. Usually by your...
Like if you're at the thrift store, then a lot of times those things are ripped out.
Yes, but I will tell you shopping at the thrift store is very sustainable in itself because it's it's clothing that is still functional, it's in good enough shape to be sold. So if someone's using that for its full wear, that's sustainable. That's an item that doesn't have to be recreated, and someone can get, you know, that finishing use out of it, whether it's a couple of years or a few months. It's better than throwing it in the trash. It's always better to donate if your clothing is still in good shape. So there is that aspect too, but usually like organic food, they have no qualms at making sure that you know what that fabric is, and if it is a higher price point, it is definitely on there. They do not want to, it's a big marketing tactic. They're not hiding from you if it's an organic or a natural fabric.
So the actual tag would say organic or something of that nature?
It will say that, typically. I don't know, Jess, have you found anything that hasn't?
None of my eco-friendly brands do not scream it from the rooftop. I mean, it is definitely, you know, some of them have big tags like that that just actually talk about their eco-friendliness and their fair trade and things like that. It is definitely something that they brag about. On a tag, you'll see rayon made from bamboo or viscose made from bamboo. So you'll see the traditional, what we know, you know, we've heard of rayon before, but it'll say made from bamboo afterwards. So that was the only addition I had as far as the tags go. But yeah, absolutely. It's going to say it on the tag. And like Nichole said, I love it. No, I'm sorry. I love it when people donate. I mean, yes, I sell clothing and it's brand new, but I have people here that that repurpose and upcycle things and bring them in, and I sell them for them. And one of my best friends is 2 blocks down, and she owns the consignment shop. And so if people can't find what they're looking for here, I always send them down to her.
I guess I've been cool my whole life and I didn't know it. I just thought I was cheap. Are there major manufacturers or big stores that offer this stuff yet? I mean, can you go to a big department store and get it?
This is the challenge. I know that Jess faces this challenge, and I face this challenge as well. This summer, I'm going to be launching a sustainable shopping guide and finding those specific brands typically are very small. They're just smaller shops. They don't have the advertising dollars that the big known box brands have. So it is difficult to locate them, but they're usually, you can find a lot of them on Etsy. You can find a lot of different brands through Jess because she has to speak to these people directly and find out what's going on. Your distributors, whoever you work with, specifically Jess, you can talk more about that. But it's definitely a difficult task. It's just up and coming now, so there isn't a lot of brands. I know Eileen Fisher for women, they have a goal to be sustainable. I believe it's for 2016 to be completely sustainable. So they're one big brand that is making an effort to get into that direction, but a lot of larger brands are trying to come over to that side of things, but there's not a lot of huge brands out there as of yet.
Before we jump too far into the present and future, I kind of want to ask another question about like the past, because everything in the past, really, our future hinges on what is in the past, is what I'm trying to say. How do you think consumers' views have changed? Like, when do you think they changed? Do you think it's significant enough? And if it's not significant enough, then what can we do about that?
I definitely think more change has been happening, I would say, in the past 5 years max. That would be my, I would say that's the most change that I've seen personally. And I do not believe, like, this is definitely, it's not an easy business to get into. It is very heavy with having to really educate yourself and know and look for those signs of, similarly, again, we'll use that food example. When it just says natural on a box, that means nothing. And you have to have those, you really have to be able to read into the fine print and see. There's a lot of brands out there that have specific items that are made in specific countries. So you might find something that's made in the USA, but if you don't consistently read your tags, you're going to see, oh, this is made in China, but that t-shirt's made in the USA. So you definitely, labels are definitely your best friend in this type of mindset. And we definitely need more people on board. There's plenty of growth to be had, but I definitely think we're moving in the right direction.
So I'm trying to think of like how to tie diversity into this. So bear with me. Of course, I always think of diversity, well, not always, but I often think of diversity in a conversation like this, and I think about different countries, and it just kind of brought the question to mind, like, who are the leaders, who have been the leaders in sustainability? Do you know that?
I think it's more, at this point, just the educators. There's a book called Overdressed. There's a lot of different books. That book that I recommended Jessica to read as well, I can't even think of the name of it now. Something cheap.
It's just called Cheap.
Yeah, Cheap. Okay. So I
And
think
it's all about the
it's more about you know, the media really getting out there. To me, I don't have anyone that really stands out in my mind, but I do think a lot of people that have been food related in this conquest, like Food Inc. and all of that stuff, they're definitely spreading their views of sustainability and ethics outside of the food area, like Sophia Buliano. She's the Green Guide. She has a bunch of different books out there, and she has a great website to educate you on different beauty products. But she's touched on fashion, but it's the slowest to the race for sure. So I don't know if you have any good add-ons, Jess, for that.
Well, I just remember learning in that book, Cheap, a lot. You know, I don't remember the history of it, but I remembered being excited to learn the history of it, of when the discount store really became what it is. You know, because each little town used to just have a mercantile or, you know, a store that you would go to, and then all of a sudden, you know, probably about the same time that urbanization happened, then you ended up having more department stores and things like that, and with that came competition, and you know, prices went down and down and down. But as you push your prices down, then you have to, you know, have harsher, not as wonderful working environments for people, because you know, you want to pay as little as you can for labor. And so it was just like this big ball that kept going and going and going, and it got out of control. And you know, historically, like we remember, I think it was Kathie Lee Gifford, she got caught with having clothing that were in her line that were made in sweatshops, and she came on TV and said, "This is awful, this is terrible, I didn't know, it's never going to happen again." And then they call out another one, and it's awful and it's terrible and it's never going to happen again. And so, but the thing is it's almost like a catch-22, because if you boycott those clothing lines, then those people are out of a job, and they need their jobs. So it's almost to the point that, you know, what do you do? But also, we really have to stand up to these bigger companies that aren't really taking into consideration the humanity of the people that are making our clothing. And so if you can get a little bit more of a grasp on it, that's good.
It sounds to me like with what I've been learning and you know what I'm hearing today, it sounds like sustainability really needs to happen at the local level. You've got to be able to use your local resources and support your local environments for everyday items. Sounds like. Is that? I see you nodding.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, I agree. It is actually, going back to that suburb, city, and country, I found that in the country, since they are a little bit more stubborn on their timeline and their progression, there is this capability to shop local and still have grocery stores that are mom and pop, and there's still that Main Street feel. Jessica's located on a similar street, a main street with all of these small local businesses. I know here in Connecticut it's difficult to find a lot of these things. There's just so many big box stores that have taken over, even shopping, you know, for specific foods or for a specific service. There's just a lot of big box stores. In the city, you do have those businesses that have been there for 100 years or 50 years or whatever, so it's easier to find that too, but it is difficult according to where you live, I think. Personally, that's just something that I've found. Again, there's positives and negatives with wherever you live, but it's hard because you're competing with huge budgets, and typically the ethical mindset and that local mindset, it's all heart, but the funding is not fully there. So the best thing we can do is vote every time we shop. That's all we can do.
That was
Absolutely.
really cool when you said
agree.
vote every time you shop, because it is a vote, right?
It is, absolutely.
Well, I think that's kind of a good segue into present. Well, I've kind of already been doing that, but just so I can see we have a structure. Present!
So, present, go ahead. Give me a little more of what you would like.
I don't know. How about if I just throw out a random word and you try to make it work? Just, we've already been moving into it. Like, we have been there. It's hard to really just, I mean, it's just really hard because everything just blends into it, and we're all focused on, like, with this kind of topic that is, like, something that is important to us now, and that we need to be active participants in now. I think it's even harder to just leave things in the past or leave things in the present, because we're focused on what can we do today to make this better tomorrow.
Nichole, can you, I think that I can help go from Kristin's thinking to what you actually do, Nichole.
Okay.
When you did your style challenge week, just give them an example of maybe one of the days, and you set, you know, the city, country, suburb. I know I said it out of order, sorry.
It's okay. So I did a 7-day challenge for, but right before I launched my online 4-season fashion styling program. And one of the examples that we went through was your makeup bag. And basically looking into the specifics, that the 3 things that you could do for that day's challenge. You're testing me now because I don't have any notes, but city is typically like getting really into it and really educating yourself. So what that challenge was to look into the ingredients, and there's this list online from a company called Beauty Counter, and it's called the Nevers list, and it's a bunch of chemicals that will never be in their cosmetics, because cosmetics is a huge thing, not just for women but for men as well. The average woman, I want to say, uses 12 different cosmetics, and the average man uses 7 different cosmetics every single day. And the other version of that was looking at there's an app actually called Skin Deep, and you can visit skindeep.com, and you can put in your product and it'll tell you the toxicity level of that product. And the other thing is just shopping strictly from that thought process, like a pure line, an organic line, spending the money, and knowing that that brand has specific levels that they're not going to go below, and shopping brand consciously and really just being you know, not really getting bothered with all of the semantics and all of the wording and all the different chemical names, because that's what scares people, I think, with all of this, is people don't have time to learn all the different chemicals that shouldn't be there. So just finding a line that works, it's going to cost a little bit more, but it's the quickest way to do it. So there's a bunch. There's 100% Pure, there's Eminence, which is a great skin care line, and there's, you know, if you're Googling that, that tends to be easier to find than the clothing.
I think that is so important for us to realize that we don't have to go out and find every single thing ourselves, we can go to people like yourself, and you've done research.
Right.
And you're doing it because you care. And this is something that, these are products that you use. So, I don't know, it really kind of speaks to reviews and testimonials. So maybe that could be like something that we can do presently, is make sure that we are honoring the people like yourself, and that are just doing that footwork for us.
Thank you. That's great.
Okay, next. Mike, do you have anything? He's acting like he doesn't have sound. He's just pretending. I don't buy it. No, we really can't hear you.
No?
No, we can't hear you.
Yeah, you're not.
Okay.
Maybe I had to hop out and then hop back in.
Oh yeah. Reload. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Anyways, I think that I love the different levels, and like we talked about with, are you a vegetarian or a vegan or a pescatarian or whatever, the way that Nichole breaks things down for people really gives them the stepping stones to get them further and further and further. Because yes, I love to be eco-friendly. I'm often called a little bit of a hippie chick, and I'm okay with all that, but I don't expect everybody to be as far along as I am in that process. So those little steps here and there, and those resources that Nichole is working on in her style guide. Is it a style guide or a shopping guide, Nichole?
It's a shopping guide, technically.
Okay. Yeah, like all these resources are huge, so that you can make those little steps, because I've always said, you're not going to get celebrities to stop wearing fur by shaming them or throwing blood at them. But if you educate them, if you show them, and then maybe they will change. And it's the same thing with clothing, and being more aware, and teaching people that there are people out there that care about what they're bringing into their store, and care about what's going on behind the scenes, so that you don't have to super educate yourself. You find brands that you trust, and you check in with them every once in a while, but I don't know. So going forward, this is an issue that is really important to me. It is something that I use the platform of the store to educate people about fair trade, about sustainable fabrics, about the hemp industry in general. And I'm sure Nichole has the same things going on in her brain going forward. So I think it's the only way that we can get to it. You know what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, absolutely. Education is a huge piece, for sure, for going forward. And just the awareness, knowing with that education comes, seeing those different signs or labels that fast track it, but there is definitely different entryways that people can find sustainability. Like you said, you get categorized as the hippie chick, but being sustainable can save a lot of money as well. It's not this, crazy luxury. Like you said, upcycling items, learning to sew, even hand sewing can take you a really long way. Using local services like a cobbler when your heel is worn down a little bit, instead of buying a brand new pair of shoes, going to the tailor, getting things repaired, all of these things, Save time, save money.
If you don't live in a city where there isn't a cobbler or a tailor, I know for sure that a lot of the dry cleaners, like we have a dry cleaner that you drop off and then you pick it up later. Like we don't even have a dry cleaner here. And I know that you can bring things in there and write a note that says hem this 1 inch, and they will hem it for you, and it doesn't cost a ton of money. So it's so frustrating for me to have people they're not willing to buy a maxi skirt or a whatever because it's a little too long for them because they're shorter, and I'm like, spend the $5 and have it hemmed up, and you're going to have this skirt for the next 10 summers. But they don't think that far
and then you can have a
ahead.
matching like hair thing too. It's awesome. I know. I'm short. I've done that. Cool. Yeah. There's always something to do with fabric.
Absolutely.
Speaking as a dancer who had to make or a choreographer who had to make her dancers like their costumes. Yeah, there's always something you can do with a little piece of scrap material.
Mm-hmm.
Who was it? One of you said something about like throwing clothes away, and I was like, no, I hate that. That is like the worst. Like I'm always like, taking it out of some garbage. And don't look at this. I'm just gonna wash it later.
Nicole, do you want to speak just a tiny little bit? Don't you have connections and information about recycling clothes?
Yeah.
Recycling clothes has been a very big challenge. I do have a couple of different resources. There's a lot of them. If you Google your specific area, it's easier to do it that way because in our area, like in New York and in Connecticut, there are a few different versions of what is known as recycling. There's a few businesses that actually take scrap fabric and they cut it down and it's made into home insulation and used as like shop rags in the automotive industry. But it is definitely, this is a really big thing that I've been focusing in on too. It's tough. It's a tough topic because those little metal parking lot huts that you can drop your stuff into, when you do research on them, you will be amazed because most of them, it's just not a good situation. So there is the American Textile Association where you can look directly and figure out what you have locally in your area. A lot of the clothing does end up overseas when you put them in those drop boxes, and people in third world countries that the average temperature is 95 degrees, they don't need winter coats, but they'll get winter coats because it's all just boxed up and not sorted properly. So this is another big thing that, you know, is on the horizon and needs to change because with all of the clothes that the average American is going through, there has to be a better way. And a lot of it, sadly, like these big donation centers that you go to, they will dump clothes into landfills as well because sometimes companies charge them to process the clothing. So more information on that in time for sure. That's a work in progress.
Mm-hmm.
We have a question. Ammon Johns wants to know if tissues count as fabric.
I do not believe so. It's a paper product.
Oh, maybe he's talking about like handkerchiefs.
Oh, handkerchiefs. Yeah, that's fabric for sure. That's a textile.
Cool.
And using a hanky rather than tons and tons of Kleenexes, I suppose, would be much more sustainable.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to pull up a couple of comments to see if it'll work. Yay! Okay, Michael Thomas says, sustainability with consistency. Yes, awesome.
Absolutely.
And then another one is from Wayne, and he says, just started working with Curtis, the owner of North State Bags in Portland, Oregon. They hand make all their bags custom to order out of as locally as possible source materials. We are speaking his language. Thanks, Wayne. Thank you, Michael Thomas.
Awesome.
Well, we are coming upon the hour. Let's go around and have like final thoughts, and then after we actually let's do shameless self-promotion, and then and then we'll go around and do our final thoughts. Okay, that's funny to us that
It is.
Nicole
doesn't know, but
yeah, Dennis Deuce, who is the creator of the show, and I'm trying to help him out like right now, but there's only one Dennis, but I'm doing the best I can. He always does that, and it's really cute. And so I had to get my Dennis on.
I'll go first because I want Nicole to have something that she can kind of model it after. Just so everybody knows, probably the most active place that I am is on my Facebook page for Nourish Boutique, and it's just facebook.com/NourishBoutique. I'll leave the links in the comments. Our website is nourishboutique.com. On Google Plus, we have a Google Plus page. On Pinterest, Instagram, we're everywhere. It's Nourish Boutique, so that we're pretty easy to find. And what I did was on our website, I created a discount code for everybody. So if you want to shop nourishboutique.com, you just go up and hit shop, and you go to my shop. That's on my website, and you will be able to get a 20% discount between now and next Friday the 22nd if you use the code diversity.
Ooh, that is very, very cool. Thank you so much for doing that.
No problem.
Everyone's going to be sad that, if they don't hear that. And
I know.
No, just kidding. Tell everyone.
There's a sense of urgency here. Hopefully, if they're not here live, then they at least do their replay in the next week. So.
Yeah, very cool. Thank you. That's very generous. All right. Would you like to go next, Nicole?
Sure. You can find me most active in my newsletter. Every Thursday I send out a Thursday postcard. So to get on that list, it's suburbcitycountrystyle.com, and you click the tab that says free goodies while we renovate, because the website's under construction, and that's how you'll know when that sustainable shopping guide comes out as well. If you sign up for the list by Monday, I am giving out a 15-minute style consultation over the phone or via Google Hangout.
Nice. That is really super cool. I've never had one of those. I think I'm definitely going to be signing up for that.
Sounds good.
Okay, Mike, your turn. He's pretending again. Oh.
How about now?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah,
Oh,
no more
something with your
pretending.
earphones. My wife would love that. He's in, he can't talk. But I just want to sincerely congratulate you two, Nicole and Jessica. I mean, you're doing good work and important work, and it's so nice to see that anywhere in the world. I think what the industry really needs is more people like you, as well as maybe some champions, and they will show up. Champions being celebrities to promote it more often, and money people to find a way to bring it to market. But you're doing a great job, and Kristin, you do a great job hosting. And I want everybody to know that our business development services are 100% free trade and organic, and so make sure to call us when you need that. That's about a selfless whatever promotion I can do. But thanks for having me on too. It was great.
Okay. Well, I don't really have a whole lot going on that I can think of. Oh, I did want to mention that today is Happy Food Revolution Day. Woo! And there's a petition. Alexandra Rite Gonzalez shared a post for like the adults, and then I shared one like from the Wiggles, like for the kids or whatever, you know. So a couple different places that you can go check out Food Revolution Day. There's a hashtag going around, so support it, and you're going to be supporting what we've been talking about today. All right, well, let's just go around and have final thoughts. I'll start. This has been fabulous, and I just can't wait to go check out both of your sites. And because Jessica, I've never even been to your site. I just always see your posts.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've been.
And you're not
I'm
a big
looking forward to it.
Facebooker.
No.
You're not a big Facebooker, so you are really missing out, because that's where I do the most with actually posting pictures of things that you can buy right from Facebook. So you're missing out, girl.
Well, I'm fortunate to have had you guys here today so that you could, like, wake me up. I feel like one of those kids in the classroom. You gotta wake me up.
That's great.
All right, Mike, you're next.
Just what I said earlier, I really enjoyed it. I think you guys are doing great work. Keep it up. It's important. And, you know, I think we should have Kristin probably do a free trade dance, since she's a dancer, to close the show. Don't you think?
Oh, no. YouTube will strip us.
But thanks very much. It was a great show. And I'm going to go visit your websites and get more involved to the extent I can.
Thank you. All right. Jess, you're next.
Okay. My final thought on this is I'm just really excited and thankful for the fact that I got to meet Nichole through something that we both mutually, a training that we both took. And, you know, she really is right. It was like the business match made in heaven. And I really feel blessed about that. So I just wanted to introduce her to everybody here, and I'm really glad that we had this time today.
All right, and the honors go to you, Nichole.
I just want to thank all three of you. It's been great to hop on. Thank you so much, Jessica, for thinking of me. I appreciate it. And it's just so awesome that we live in this day and age where we can all be in the comfort of our homes or office or a fabulous boutique and be here together. And it's great. I'm so happy, and thank you everyone that listened in today or is going to listen in later. It's been a great experience.
Awesome. And this has been another episode of Network Roundtable, the software side of business. Have a great weekend, everyone. Happy Friday.